This is astonishing, George. First of all, I'd like to welcome George Marcello and his step-by-step team to the city of Port Moody. It is, after chatting a couple of minutes with George, it's kind of overwhelming what he's done in a very short period of time. You know what, George, we have a lot of visitors to our beautiful city, Port Moody, but few take 375 days to walk here right from the other side of Canada, so we're very pleased to see you. George, we are very pleased to help you in raising the awareness of the need for organ and tissue donation in our country. As healthy, vibrant people, we seldom think of the grim possibility that our time here may be limited, or that we or our family, members of our family, may need an organ or tissue transplant to continue living a healthy life. Because we, as normal folk, do not think about organ donation as a matter of course, it is only through personal experience and the quest of people like you, George, that we need that need becomes known. Our readiness as a society to deal with the need for organ and tissue donations is increasing, but it still falls short of being truly a prepared society. Only awareness can change that. As an individual, I can personally say that we can never be truly prepared for the moment when we might be asked to make a gift of life for another, when we're faced ourselves with a personal tragedy. I faced a tragedy, George, 5.5 years ago. I lost a son to an accident, and through the pain of the moment that my wife and I went through, we felt a glimpse of hope by the fact that we were able to help another individual in need. And this is what today is all about. So we join with you, George, in this quest for awareness, and are proud that BC has a registry system that is being promoted as a model for Canada, for Canada's national registry system. Please sign your personal donor cards and join George and others who are contributing to the ultimate gift, the gift of life. Thank you again, George. And you may want to come up.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I don't know, you've touched on everything. Like, that was just such a perfect speech. It's everything that we're trying to do is what you said, you know, and of course we can't do this alone on this campaign. That's why we put 500 cities and towns on our schedule, you know, to get the enthusiasm and the willingness from all these different communities to participate and join in and help to promote the importance of organ and tissue donations. We've calculated that by the time I finish this, I will have walked over 25 million steps. And each step that I'm walking is acknowledging the heroic decision of someone becoming an organ donor, because that decision saved my life and 5 others. We're all around today because someone made that decision. And, you know, I think what we want to do is really let the whole country know how important it is, this, you know, making this decision, and how important it is for our government to take more steps in presenting this to each Canadian right across Canada to let them know how important this decision is. And it's not only in the case of the recipient receiving this precious gift of life, but it's also in the case of the family that lost their loved ones, knowing this tremendous contribution that they made has affected not only up to maybe 10 people's lives, but has positively affected 1,000 people's lives, because saved, they have families and friends, and those families and friends are a lot happier because their loved ones were saved. So this one decision positively affects over 1,000 people. So, you know, our campaign is to encourage and inspire each and every one of the 500 communities that we visit, but just as important, to inspire the other two levels of government to make this issue more important in their respective agendas, because Canada as a country has failed to accept the importance of this and has failed to take the proper steps that other countries took, such as Spain, that are doing very, very well in their rate of organ and tissue donations. And you know, and people that are living in Spain are not too worried about being afflicted with any organ disease that one day might require a transplant, because they know that their rate of tissue and organ donations is up to 80%. You know, that's pretty good. You know, and we can have that. We can enjoy the same things here in Canada. So we have been very proudly and very happily mentioning from day one that BC took the steps, the courageous steps in creating this registry that makes the individual's wish legal binding, and it is the best way to have our system implemented. And that is why we're saying that we need Canada to follow suit with what BC has done and create a national registry, and also to really look at this awareness program. We need a massive awareness program from coast to coast. You know, we are also endorsing the Dr. Keith Martin's 8-point plan, which is an excellent system that if that was implemented, we would see a wonderful increase in our rate of organ donations. It just looks after everything. So I believe Canadians are very good people, because I've talked to over 100,000 Canadians along the way, and I know that they'll rise to the occasion. But you know, we need the government to do their part too. So that's why we're keeping on to encourage and nudge Mr. Rock and all the other provinces to step up to the plate and do more in this area. I want to thank the counselors that walked with me this morning. I got to talk to them a little bit. It's always a pleasure to have some company. And also want to thank the mayor for receiving us, and a fellow paisan. Also the Golden Spikes Festival, the people that arranged for us to be there for the next 3 days to distribute donor cards, which we do when we enter a community. We try and find our spots to do that, and want to thank all the people that were responsible in helping to secure a booth for us there. And last but not least, I want to thank my road manager, David Reisman, who's a native of Victoria, BC, and also a liver transplant recipient. I'll turn that off. It's ringing. Oh, okay. I thought it was on. So David came on board in Alberta, and he did it within 3 days' notice. And he's been working really hard and unselfishly, to help me while I'm in BC. And he is like an unsung hero in all this, because he has to do all the work, and I get like all the spotlight and all the glory. Especially, to help me while I'm in BC, and he is the spotlight and all the glory, you know, and you know, he hasn't complained about that, and you know, so it's people like him that are inspiring me to keep on doing this one, you know, and completing, and won't be proper if I don't get him up here to say a few words on his behalf. So, David, if you may.
Thank you, George. Oops. Never met a microphone I didn't like. I know, that's most of Oda's line. I have some people to thank, but first of all, I'd like to thank you, George, for those kind words. Sometimes it does feel like, you know, I'm in the back of the bus, but I'm actually driving the bus most of the time, so I guess George wouldn't get to where he's walking from if I didn't do that. So, this is probably the first time I've never seen the press present at one of our press conferences, so I guess this is not a press conference. And it is the beginning of a long weekend, and it's a beautiful day out there, and I guess they just decided to skip school. So my apologies to all of you who are expecting the press to be here. Sometimes, well, we never have any control over that, and we had, was it yesterday we were in the Vancouver Sun, or was it today? Today. So, you know, we've got another 17 press conferences to do in and around Vancouver Island, or Vancouver before we move on to Vancouver Island. So maybe they're saving the big guns till the Vancouver press conference, which is July the 9th. I had my liver transplant. Ironically, it was the day before George had his, even though we didn't know each other. And that was 6 years ago, and I was right down to my last few days when I had my transplant. And I've been very actively involved in other organ-related activities over the last 5 years, but I felt that I'd never really truly addressed the issue of the fact that I had received a liver from someone, and so when I heard about George's walk, I decided that I was going to help him out when he came to British Columbia, because I had a lot of contacts in some of my other work here in this province. And so when he phoned me, I was actually literally driving over the Oak Street Bridge when my cell phone went off, and it was George, and I had a picture of him, even though I'd never met him. I had a picture of him standing in the Calgary airport with no road crew and no way of getting from point A to point B. So I said, give me 5 days and I'll drop everything that I'm doing and I'll come out there. So that's what I did. And it has been a very incredible experience for me. Last year I was on chemotherapy, and I never went more than 10 blocks away from my home. And this year it's entirely different. It's living very largely from hotel to hotel and from restaurant to restaurant, and from press conference to press conference, and all of the work that entails is absolutely incredible. We have to take care of all the details from the road, from our hotel rooms. Sometimes George is literally sitting on the side of the highway with his book out and with his phone at his ear, and he's listening and talking and writing all at the same time, and then carrying on a few more steps, then the phone will go off, and there he goes. And we're doing this on a zero budget. It's incredible that we get the goodwill of a lot of people in each community that we go through, the hotels and the restaurants that provide for us, because we never have enough time to actually sit down and be somewhere where we can actually prepare a meal. And actually, both of us are pretty good cooks, but we never get the chance to express that, except for myself when I go back to Victoria, which is periodically I do. But I'd like to thank, first of all, I'd like to thank Mayor Joe Trasolini for allowing this to happen today. It's, thank you very much. Without a focus and your presence, this would not happen. I'd like to thank Diane many conversations with George to enable this to happen as well. And I would like to thank, let me see now, I'd like to thank Bob Brown and Rick Nelson for walking with George. That was great, and I'm sure that you enjoyed the walk. I mean, how many times have you done that before? Yes, I know. I was in a police car yesterday, and I was reflecting on that myself. And I'd like to thank the two police officers, Constable Jennifer McCary, I believe, and Brian Souls. I don't know if he's corporal or sergeant or constable, but thank you very much. And I'd also like to thank Bob from Carambas, who is providing us with meals this afternoon. And also Len Berkowitz from the Poco Inn, who is providing us with accommodations for the weekend. And that really sort of puts a big problem out of the way for us, because when we arrived here this morning, we had nowhere to sleep tonight. And we actually have another person coming on board who's coming in from Kelowna this afternoon. And she's, so we're going to have to change our accommodations a little bit, because we have a woman coming on board with us, and so it's going to make our workload a little bit easier, and it's probably going to change a few things as well. So thank you very much to Len, and Len is actually going to be present at our press conference in Port Coquitlam on Tuesday. So hopefully we'll have some press there after their long weekend, and maybe they'll be spending their long weekend at the Golden Spike Days, which is another thing. I'd like to thank the organizers of the Golden Spike Days for allowing us to come too, because part of our awareness program, a big part of our awareness program, is to provide people with organ donor cards. And George, we have to go to BC Transplant Society and pick up a bunch of cards this afternoon, by the way. So we're going to have to take a trip downtown and pick up some more cards. Otherwise, we're probably going to run out by tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. We've given out thousands and thousands and thousands while we've been in British Columbia, and we want to give out thousands more. And actually, our plan in this area is to give out another 50,000. So to get back to what I was saying, an enormous debt of gratitude to those who are heroic enough to realize the necessity for donating their organs. It goes beyond words, and actually somebody called it spiritual recycling. That was at Nelson press conference when we were in Nelson back in April, and it's so true. It's more than information. It is a raising of consciousness, because people just don't really realize what it entails. And I do want to say, for those of you who may not be aware of this, but when you die, they don't do anything with your organs. They don't go with you, and if they're not there for other people to benefit from, where do they go? I ask you that question. I already know, but think about that. And so if anybody else would like to say a few words in wrapping this up, I welcome you to come up. Diane, would you like to say anything? Anybody else? Okay, great. Well, I want to just thank you all for being here, and I want to wish you all a happy, long July 1st. Is this July 1st? Yes. July 1st weekend. I hope we have some fireworks and all of that kind of stuff this weekend. I haven't even given it any thought.
No problem.
No?
No problem.
Not in Port Moody.
Pardon? Not in?
Not in Port Moody. There may be some elsewhere.
I see. Okay. So you have a wonderful weekend, and thank you very much for coming out here.
I have a question.
Yes.
What did you mean when you said your organs don't go with you? Now you've got me thinking.
Yes.
Where do
well, they are just they just discard them.
So when you die, they take out your organs and they dump them?
Mm-hmm.
How disgusting.
Well, that's the way everybody goes. It's usually a good place to get them, or places like London Drugs or Shoppers Drug Mart.
Because it's no good now to identify on your driver's license
No.
that you wish to be a donor.
No,
So you
and
have to have one of these cards to fill out and to send off.
yes, and that card comes with a stamped envelope, and only a few things to fill out, but the most important thing is that your care card number goes on there so that if and when you die, it's plugged into a computer and there you are. And the medical community don't have to ask your family for permission. And that is the big thing, because so many people have said no. I know at one information booth we had in a mall in the interior, I had a woman come up and she said that her son died and she had been approached by the doctors at that time, and she said no, and a week later she realized that she'd made a really big mistake. And then I've had the other side of that coin too, where mothers have come up and they have had their teenage children die, and they have willingly donated their organs, and they feel a connection, that there is a sense of closure there, and there is a connection there with their donor with their recipients. And a lot of them have been in contact with their recipients, and life goes on, and it's an incredible experience, it really is. And to be on the other side of that, to be a recipient is indeed an incredible experience, and I thank God every single day of my life that I'm still alive. And sometimes, you know, we sweat the small stuff, and we get anxious about things that we really shouldn't get anxious about, and I have to sort of check myself at the door and say, okay, you know, you're going to walk into that room, and you're going to remember that you give thanks every single day of your life for the life that you have. So that's all I want to say. Thank you very much. Fresh tape.
Good heavens.
You found it okay then?
Yep.
Now, what's the plan? Well, you can go out there first and get my speech and that speech. Okay.
Okay, now, I don't know what they, where's Dan? Dan. After I'm finished,
Well, good afternoon. This is astonishing, George. First of all, I'd like to welcome George Lacello and his step-by-step team to the city of Port Moody. It is, after chatting a couple of minutes with George, it's kind of overwhelming what he's done in a very short period of time. You know, George, we have a lot of visitors to our beautiful city, Port Moody, but few take 375 days to walk here right from the other side of Canada, so we're very pleased to see you.